This is where the gusset is going in the back. And it's going up to exactly there. That's why this is there, marked from the pattern sheet. Or where I know where it should go. There. So, first thing to do is to cut up till 1 centimeter from that point. You see? The point and the cut up to 1 centimeter before that. And then take the needle. Don't take this out. Do not take this out yet. And then I go in 1 seam allowance, 1 seam allowance, and 1 seam allowance. There. And then I point where it is going. Now I can take it out. Take it down. And it is important now not to move that point, not to do like this. Be steady with it. So that is exactly on the top where the point was under. And then I hold, still directly down in it, and hold tight and bend it. When I'm holding that point, to make sure that it is in the center, where it's going to be, and not on one side. That will disturb your eyes from now on and forever. So that's first thing. The point shall end where I put it in. Exactly where I put it in. And now, after, this is of course the back side. So on this side, I want the gusset to look like it's inserted like this. And not the other way, like a patch on the outside. See? So I want this look. This look. To get that with a flat felted seam, the seam allowance on this one had to be the biggest one. So that will be 1/2 centimeter out here. And you see that's not possible in the top. It will be bigger there. This one will be bigger. We'll fix that after. So some centimeter or a couple of 3 inches or something, you will go out to the correct seam allowance here. See? And then you pin it all the way down. And now we can start sewing in that point of the, if I have a needle. Here. Now I have that point where I pinned it first. So I'm going directly in that. I never start with a knot here, never. Oh, but I stop before I pull it out. If I'm smart, just leave it there. But I sew 3 times on top of each other. Make sure to go exactly inside that point and straight into it. See? Now I can take this one out. And now you see the seam allowance on the gusset here is bigger than it should be. Don't bother for now, we'll cut that off later. But now I will sew in a line out, like, see, from that point I will go out to the seam allowance that I want. See, from 0 and out. So from about here I just sew directly down. So that's what I'm doing here. And I use small forward stitches. So, see, now I'm out where I want, from 0 and wider and wider and wider. So now I am where I want to be, and I just continue those stitches all the way down. So now I have sewn all the way down to the bottom on one side of the Godet. So now I shall do the next step. And here it is a little scary. This is the top point where I sew into. And now I have to be able to sew on the other side, I have to cut up. I have to cut up to that point, or to maybe 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter from it. See? So I cut all the way up so that I can take the other one out here. And start doing the same, you see? make sure you can put them together so you are sure you get the point where the point should be. Exactly like that. Take it here. That point is where I shall start sewing. And now again I shall have it out. The seam allowance shall come out like here in the width I want to continue it, and then I just try to even it out from 0 to out there. This fabric is quite forgiving. It's elastic, a little elastic in both directions, so it's easy to make a godet in this. But you can, if it was very stiff, if it was for instance linen, one plain linen, then it's not elastic at all. Then you could, instead of sewing straight, then you can sew a little bow, a little one, and then you go into where you are. And I talk 2 millimeter out, that's all, from the line. But now I shall make this line and sew all the way down as I did before. And as usual, I don't start with a knot. I start with 3 threads on top of each other. Then again, small forward stitch all the way down. So now pin the rest all the way down, forward stitch all the way down, and see you again. So now I've sewn down on both sides of the godet. So now I shall lie down the seam allowance. I use flat felt seam, you know this, so it's completely closed. So I take the long one over the short one, then overcast. Yeah. And then I use maybe 4 millimeter long stitches, and I hardly sew through it. I have my finger under, and when I feel the thread is almost through, then I turn. So it's not showing up the thread. This thread will not show up on the right side, only as small dots structure, you can say, in the fabric. Dot seam. Priksøm is what we call it in Norwegian. You see, you can hardly see it. That is how it is. So I do this on both sides, of course, all the way up to 5 centimeters from the top. Then we shall fix things up here. So 1 more hour of sewing, then I'll be back here. So now both seams here are sewn with this flat felt seam. So you see now it's inside, and you see those lines of markings structure. So now we shall finish the top here. So I do continue with taking in, but when you come up here, you must try to make this as thick as this, or this as thick as this, so that you get the same structure, the same distance all the way up, and up over the top and down again. That's what I should show you now. So like this. Try to continue the same width all the way up. So when you come up to approximately the same height as the point, you bend the top in. And now I want, on the outside, I want to make the stitch, this holes on the other side, I want to point them also up. So they sort of, what's they called, in phases? The point. So you see, now the point is this, the seams are like this. So approximately here, I guess, this is the point, so I guess it's there. And to make sure, I go on the other side. And you see that was wrong. The point is like that, and you see where my needle comes out. So I had to move the needle. So it's directly over the point over the point. And then I mark it by taking 1 or 2 threads from this only, the same as I've done all the time. So I mark the point on the top, you see? And then I continue down on the other side. So this makes the top, but also the structure make the top, and they shall of course be aligned there. So now I have another video where you can see it, where this is orange and this is white. It's easier to see it. I will link it. But what I try now to see, here's the top, here's my top stitch, and here's the other one. So I try to make one exactly at that time point on the other side, so it's also symmetric up there. It will simply please your subconscious to make this little effort extra. Just makes it nicer without you noticing. I mean, when you go back on, you don't see that, but your subconscious see it. And then just continue down to the other side. So, the last edge, that was the Godet in the back. Nice. That was it. So, next is the side pieces.